The South African Municipal Workers Union has rejected an offer of a 2.8% wage increase. The union is instead demanding a 4,000 rand wage hike, a 15,000 rand minimum salary and a housing allowance of 3,500 rand. Now, the South African Local Government Association maintains that municipalities' revenue has been hard hit by the pandemic and that they can't afford to meet these demands. These talks are, of course, taking place during a crucial municipal election year as well. Dumisane Magagula is SAMWU's Deputy General Secretary. He joins us now to discuss, among other things, what happens next. Dumisane, good morning to you once again. It's great to have you here with us on the show to provide some clarity on, these demands that SAMWU is making. How did you, in your talks with workers, come up with these numbers?
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. These are not just numbers that we came up with, but we came up with substantive demands to improve the livelihood of municipal workers and in general the livelihood of workers in South Africa. On the minimum wage in the sector that we are demanding 15,000, we went on a comparative study with parastatals. We also looked at the miners, and what we found is that in parastatals, for example, ESCOM, their minimum wage is at 14,000, and that's the median range. And the highest in terms of their minimum wage is a 17,000. That is the entry level at the parastatal. And we don't see a difference. Why is it that when municipal workers demand the same, it looks like it's an unreasonable demand? Meanwhile, it has already been determined to be fair in other public sector bodies. And we also demanded a 4,000 rands increase, which we are using to close the wage gap, which is now dealing with the legacy of apartheid. And we want to make sure that in municipalities, the huge wage gap that currently exists is closed. We currently have a situation where the minimum payment in the sector is 8,000, while municipal managers are ranging well over 300,000 a month. And we want to make sure that we close that wage gap.
Yeah. What's your stance on Salga's, what it's come out and said in terms of municipalities being hard hit, in fact, hardest hit by the pandemic, that this round of negotiations means, given the impact of COVID-19, that there just isn't money for these kinds of increases? What is SAMWU's reaction to that?
We know that we couldn't have gone to elections in a worse time than this one, in the midst of the pandemic and the economic downturn. But we're also relying on the actual numbers from the LGER, that is now a treasury, which has shown that despite the pandemic, municipalities have been able to increase their revenue by 13%, and that amounts to over 19 billion during the year, during 2020. And we also know that municipalities, in terms of what Salga has submitted and what we also have argued on the negotiation table, is that over 191 billion is owing to municipalities. And this is money that municipalities should be collecting. And we just don't see why they're not collecting more, especially from parastatals, from government agencies. This money we should be enabling service delivery. And our core concern is not only the salaries for the workers, but it's also finances that will enable service delivery, which has dilapidated at the moment.
In terms of this being a big election year, is that something that's being used at the bargaining table?
Look, we are not relying on that, but we are disappointed that there is no political will to intervene by the political leadership of Salga. We want to ask a question from Honorable Councillor Nkadimeng, deployed by the ruling party. Why is it that on the negotiation table we're only sitting with officials junior officials, more especially from municipalities, and some senior officials from Salga. There isn't even a single politician that sits on that table in an election year where we are addressing the legacy of apartheid, and we do not see any support coming and any political will to make sure that this thing is resolved without a standoff, without a strike in a sensitive year of this nature.
Yeah.
But we are not relying on election year. Our members have said to us, go out, correct this thing, and seek this demand so that we are able to deliver services.
So 2.8% is the wage increase offer that is currently on the table. I mean, SAMWU's called that offer laughable. What happens from here on now in terms of taking these negotiations forward?
Look, we're going out currently between this last round of election and the next round, which will be on the 12th of May. We're out in all the structures. We are reporting back. We are refreshing the mandate. But at the same time, the warning that we are sending out is that already workers have told us that if Salga is going to continue throwing peanuts at municipal workers, there will definitely be a strike. Definitely, we will go on the street and we will make sure that we finish off negotiations at that level. And we will make sure that we take over every street of South Africa and bring the towns to a standstill. But currently, we are giving a fair chance to the negotiations. We are still on the table. There is no dispute declared. There is no deadlock. And we believe that Salga should come back with a more substantive offer.
Dumisane Magagula is SAMWU's Deputy General Secretary. Thanks very much for your time this morning indeed.